Hello, everyone. It's Nicole Witt, your miracle mentor. And today we are going to be looking at A Course in Miracles. We're on chapter 3, which is the innocent perception. And we are on section 6, which is judgment and the authority problem. So I'm excited to get into this. So let's start. We have already discussed the last judgment, but in insufficient detail. After the last judgment, there will be no more. Judgment is symbolic because beyond perception, there is no judgment. When the Bible says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged," it means that if you judge the reality of others, you will be unable to avoid judging your own. The choice to judge rather than to know is the cause of the loss of peace. Judgment is the process on which perception but not knowledge rests. I have discussed this before in terms of the selectivity of perception, pointing out that evaluation is its obvious prerequisite. So, what Jesus is saying here is that you cannot have judgment unless you have already made a selection, right? That judgment is based upon evaluation. If I judge something as good or bad, then I'm evaluating it. I'm deciding what I think it means. And from that, I'm deciding whether I like that meaning or not. I like what the story that I've made up or not. And then I'm deciding, well, that's a good story or a bad story. Okay, so judgment always involves rejection because you have to evaluate, you have to have two things and you have to reject one of them. It never emphasizes only the positive aspects of what is judged, whether in you or in others. What has been perceived and rejected or judged and found wanting remains in your mind because it has been perceived. One of the illusions from which you suffer is the belief that what you judged against has no effect. This cannot be true unless you also believe that what you judged against does not exist. Okay. So we have a tendency to want to push things away that we've judged bad, right? We've judged it, we don't like it, and so we want to we're resisting it and we're pushing on it. Okay. So this cannot be, so we're trying to get rid of the effect about it. We don't want it, we don't want it, we're concentrating, we don't want it, we don't want it. Okay, so one of the illusions from which you suffer is the belief that what you judged against has no effect. This cannot be true unless you also believe that what you judged against does not exist. You evidently do not believe this, or you would not have judged against it. In the end, it does not matter whether your judgment is right or wrong. Either way, you are placing your belief in the unreal. This cannot be avoided in any type of judgment because it implies the belief that reality is yours to select from. So we talk about this concept of what you resist persists. Because in the resisting, you're making it real and you're concentrating on it and you're resisting it with energy. And so it persists. It's still there. You've made it real. And so that is what he's saying. You can't avoid that trap with judgment. That is the trap of judgment. It implies the belief that reality is yours to select from. That I can like this and I cannot like that. And I can resist that and get what I want. Okay. You have no idea of the tremendous release and deep peace that comes from meeting yourself and your brothers totally without judgment. When you recognize what you are and what your brothers are, you will realize that judging them in any way is without meaning. In fact, their meaning is lost to you precisely because you are judging them. All uncertainty comes from the belief that you are under the coercion of judgment. You do not need judgment to organize your life, and you certainly do not need it to organize yourself. Okay, So you do not need judgment to organize your life. I mean, that's how I organize my life is what I like and what I don't like. And, ooh, this, I think that'll be a good idea. I judge that as good, so I'm going to go towards that. I judge that as bad, so I'm going to try to resist that. Okay. And so I'm organizing my life on it. And yeah, the next line says, in the present, okay, it says, you do not need judgment to organize your life, and you certainly do not need it to organize yourself. Because there's this idea inside of me, this thought inside of me, this belief inside of me that is like, if I'm not judging myself, then like I can't get better, right? Like I'm not going to improve. I'm not going to fulfill my potential. I'll just be like, if I were to turn off all judgment, all that judgmental taskmaster voice that's telling me what I should and shouldn't do, or I shouldn't have done that in the past or whatever, like, oh, what would happen? Like maybe I'd just be a big blob if I had no judgment on myself. Um, so for me, that's just funny. It's like, you do not need this to organize your life, and you certainly do not need it to organize yourself. Like I'm using judgment to try to organize myself, get myself in a package that I like. In the presence of knowledge, all judgment is automatically suspended, and this is the process that enables recognition to replace perception. So in this system that I've made for myself, that I decided that by judging myself, by being the judge of me, right? That, and the jury too, by the way, that I can make myself better. I can organize myself in a way that will give me the life that I want, because I'm organizing my life through judgment too. And it's just a constant stream of judgment that I think is going to end up with a package that is presentable to the world, right? Like this is what I should be. I mean, I should have a clean house, and I should have this, and whatever it is. I think everybody's stuff is probably different, but you get stuck in that loop. And he's saying here's like, in the presence of knowledge, all judgment goes away, is automatically suspended. And then that's when truth can come in. That's when our vision is finally clear enough, like the purification that is necessary before miracles can happen, right? When that purification happens and we get rid of all of that judgment, then it'll be unbelievable. We can't even fathom what it'll be like. You are very fearful of everything you have perceived but have refused to accept. You believe that because you have refused to accept it, you have lost control over it. This is why you see it in nightmares or in pleasant disguises in what seem to be your happier dreams. Nothing that you have refused to accept can be brought into awareness. It is not dangerous in itself, but you have made it seem dangerous to you. So when I perceive something that I don't want to accept, something I don't want to happen, something that is happening that I don't like, I'm fearful of it. And I become a victim of it. It keeps coming back up, whether in my nightmares or in and by the way, like nightmares at night when I'm sleeping, right? We have things that happen in our dreams that are trying to tell us things. Or in the nightmare of the illusion, like it'll keep coming back up. And it's interesting, he says, or in pleasant disguises and what seem to be your happier dreams. Like the same issue, the same thing that you were afraid of can show up in a way that seems happy, that seems like this is what I want, but it's not going to really get you where you really want. It's not the true happiness. It's an ego happiness because you judged something that this was worth. You made the judgment this was worth value. When I say you, I mean the ego convinced you of it. It wasn't spirit. When you feel tired, it is because you have judged yourself as capable of being tired. Simple as that, guys. It's hard to accept. When you laugh at someone, it is because you have judged him as unworthy. When you laugh at yourself, you must laugh at others, if only because you cannot tolerate the idea of being more unworthy than they are. Okay, he's saying when you laugh at, not with, right? We make that distinction. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you. This is laughing at. This is making fun of somebody or even yourself. And he's saying because we have that low opinion of ourselves, we have to make others bring them down a notch, right? So that we can feel more worthy. It's funny because I was just talking to my husband and he was talking about this fantasy football situation going on. He's not going to make the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. But, I can still be a spoiler. I can still take somebody down a notch. And it struck me. And I was like, I didn't say anything because, I've learned there's no need to say anything. But I was like, wow, like, yeah, that's a common thing that we say, right? I can be a spoiler. I could take somebody down a notch. It's like, wow. Why? Why would I want to do that? Why would I gain pleasure by bringing somebody else down? And this is what he's saying, because I have such a low opinion of myself. I believe I'm unworthy, so I have to make other people seem unworthy to me in order to handle it. Okay? So all this makes you feel tired because it is essentially disheartening. You are not really capable of being tired, but you are very capable of wearying yourself. The strain of constant judgment is virtually intolerable. It is curious that an ability so debilitating would be so deeply cherished. The hardest, it's so, judgment is such we've convinced ourselves that it's natural, that is what we have to do. And it's why we're all running around so tired all the time. And because it's debilitating to us. It is what's killing us. It is the disease, the dis-ease. It's the judgment. Okay. Yet if you wish to be the author of reality, you will insist on holding on to judgment. You will also regard judgment with fear, believing that it will someday be used against you. So the judger always feels judged. If I'm judging others, then I'm afraid all the time that people are judging me. Because I'm judging others, so I know people must be judging me, and now that's a very fearful thing. This belief can exist only to the extent that you believe in the efficacy of judgment as a weapon of defense of your own authority. Okay. So by being afraid of others judging me, I am affirming the belief that judgment is a weapon and that I can use it to defend myself and my own authority, the authority of my life. The authority to decide what is right and what's wrong and to be right and to make sure others know when they're wrong. God offers only mercy. Your words should reflect only mercy because that is what you have received and that is what you should give. Justice is a temporary expedient or an attempt to teach you the meaning of mercy. It is judgmental only because you are capable of injustice. I have spoken of different symptoms, and at that level there is almost endless variation. There is, however, only one cause for all of them, the authority problem. This is the root of all evil. Every symptom the ego makes involves a contradiction in terms because the mind is split between the ego and the Holy Spirit, so that whatever the ego makes is incomplete and contradictory. Okay? Whatever the ego makes contradicts itself. There's conflict. That's its nature. This untenable position is the result of the authority problem, which, because it accepts the one inconceivable thought as its premise, can produce only ideas that are inconceivable. Okay, so what is the authority problem? What does he talk about here? And, you know, you think of it as authority. Who's the authority of my life? Like, who's in charge? Okay, so the part of authority problem must be that, like, I'm trying to be in charge and God's charge. And I'm trying to take that and it's like, you're not the boss of me, right? Like, that's how I was looked at it before. And I think that's still a valid way to look at it. But this time through, when I read it, this next line that I'm about to read really struck me differently. So it says, the issue of authority is really a question of authorship. Like, I had never made the connection between authority and author and authorship. And what I really got from reading it this time was like, oh, let God be the author of my story. Why am I trying to write my story? Like, I have no idea my highest and best. No idea. I have no idea of the amazing things that are possible for me because I just don't know. I have a very limited vision. So why am I trying to write the story? God is the one who is writing the story. My creator is writing the story. The Father wrote the story. And if I just let it be written the way that he wrote it and just be in that flow and relax, then guess what? There's really no need to judge because everything that comes up I know is part of the plan. And if I don't like it, it's only because I don't understand it, which is fine. Like, I have some situations happening now that for the life of me I can't figure out. I don't understand how it's happening. Logically, it doesn't make sense. And it's just like, okay, like, I don't know, but it's not good or bad. I'm just gonna not let it bother. I'm gonna forgive it, and that means not letting it bother me anymore. Not letting it be a bad thing that's happening. Instead, letting it be. I wonder how this is going to turn out. Okay. The issue of authority is really a question of authorship. When you have an authority problem, it is always because you believe you are the author of yourself and project your delusion onto others. So not only am I thinking I'm writing my story, that my life is up to me, but then I'm projecting that delusion onto others. And like, I can write their story too. Like, I know it's best for them. Like, if they just listen to me, I'd write a good story for them. You then perceive the situation as one in which others are literally fighting you for your authorship. Okay. So if you don't do what I want and it affects me, now who's writing my story? I'm the author. Like, you have to do what I want. You can't affect my story. This is the stuff we get into. This is the fundamental error of all those who believe they have usurped the power of God. This belief is very frightening to them. That's why we're all running around so frightened. But it hardly troubles God. He is, however, eager to undo it, not to punish his children, but only because he knows that it makes them unhappy. God's creations are given their true authorship, but you prefer to be anonymous when you choose to separate yourself from your author. So when we are together with God, when we are in God's creation, then we are a co-creator with the authorship, okay? We are a co-creator. But when we choose to be anonymous and say, no, that's not me, I'm actually just this little person over here, then we are choosing to separate. And then we're just under delusion that we have authorship. Being uncertain of your true authorship, you believe that your creation was anonymous. This leaves you in a position where it sounds meaningful to believe that you created yourself. The dispute over authorship has left such uncertainty in your mind that it may even doubt whether you really exist at all. Only those who give over all desire to reject can know that their own rejection is impossible. Okay, so give over all desire to reject. That means that something comes into my awareness, something happens in the dream, or it's the practice of saying, okay, like I'm not going to reject this. I'm going to know whatever's happening is perfect because I'm trusting in God's will for me, which is perfect happiness. So it must be here in this moment. Maybe I just don't see it yet. You have not usurped the power of God, but you have lost it. Fortunately, to lose something does not mean that it has gone. It merely means that you do not remember where it is. Its existence does not depend on your ability to identify it or even to place it. Okay. So when we lose something, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means we just don't know where it is. We can't find it. You don't remember where it is. It is possible to look on reality without judgment and merely know that it is there. So we may have lost the ability to see our true reality. We may have lost our true reality, but it's still there. It's still happening. We just don't remember how to look at it. We don't remember how to get there. Peace is a natural heritage of spirit. Everyone is free to refuse to accept his inheritance, but he is not free to establish what his inheritance is. The problem everyone must decide is the fundamental question of authorship. All fear comes ultimately, and sometimes by way of very devious routes, from the denial of authorship. Remember, the ego can be very devious, right? There's a spiritual ego, there's, our nature is inherently creative, so even what we make is very powerful. And so this belief is just a belief, the ego. But when we put our belief behind it, we're giving it all this power, and we are throwing away our inheritance. So we get to decide, right? But we also have to realize that the ego is very devious. The offense is never to God. God is never offended, but only to those who deny him. To deny his authorship is to deny yourself the reason for your peace, so that you see yourself only in segments. This strange perception is the authority problem. So when we deny that God is in charge, we lose our peace because now we think we're in charge. So we have to control everything. And we don't see the whole picture. We become focused on segments of the picture. And this is what we're dealing with in our day-to-day life. And this is the authority problem. There is no one who does not feel that he is imprisoned in some way. Okay? So there is no one who does not feel he is imprisoned in some way. So even the people that look like they have an amazing life out there on social media, whatever, whoever it is you're comparing yourself to, know that inside them, somewhere, they feel they are imprisoned. If this is the result of his own free will, he must regard his will as not free, or the circular reasoning in this position would be quite apparent. So even though he has free will, or even though I have free will, if I see myself as imprisoned, as a victim, then I'm obviously saying that my will is not free. But in that circle, I can't see that. I can't see that it's my free will to say my will is not free. Got it? Free will must lead to freedom. Judgment always imprisons because it separates segments of reality by the unstable scales of desire. The unstable scales of desire, right? Because I can today it's good, but tomorrow that same exact thing might be bad. So what is that? Those are unstable scales of desire of what is good and bad. There's nothing more willy-nilly than that, right? We know that. We change our mind all the time. Wishes are not facts. To wish is to imply that willing is not sufficient. Yet no one in his right mind believes that what is wished is as real as what is willed. Instead of seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, say, will ye first the kingdom of heaven? And you have said, I know what I am, and I accept my own inheritance. Okay. I will ye first the kingdom of heaven. I am the kingdom of heaven, and that's my will to put that first. Okay. So I know what I am, and I accept my own inheritance. So I hope you enjoyed that section. I sure enjoyed looking at it again. Remember, God is the author. God is the author of life. Love is the author of life. Peace is the author of life, whichever term you want to use. But when we decide that we are the author of our life and that we know best and we can make it happen and we can put everything in a perfect little picture, we end up tired, fearful, making fun of others, putting others down. What else does he talk about? Just not at peace. And the goal is peace. So thank you so much. I love you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.